What is going on, YouTube people? Neocards Comics here. Today, we're going to talk about buying and selling windows and how narrow and wide some of those are. Kind of hinted at this in the weekly sports card market update on Sunday when we were looking at Luka and Fox cards. So we're going to circle back and look at those and touch on a couple other key points. But we have these opportunities to buy, and quite frankly, in most cases, they are very large. You have ample opportunity to buy in most cases for a card or player that you want. Your windows to sell, however, are much, much more narrow. And you have to be willing to act quickly and decisively in a lot of cases. Because in the modern sports card world that we live in, really in collectibles in general, hype and FOMO matter almost, if not way more, than actual performance on the court. Performance on the court or field will, or could, not always, eventually lead towards price increases, but not always. We've seen plenty of players have outstanding seasons or careers and see very little movement in prices. But there's at least opens the window for something to happen. The other thing, and the more typical thing, where you see the big spikes and the huge gains in prices, is some sort of event. Something happens. A player is traded, they make a deep playoff run, maybe they're a trendy prospect because we're about to come up on spring training. A trendy prospect has a really big couple of days in Florida or Arizona. They hit 2 or 3 home runs, and oh my God, that's all everyone's talking about. Maybe they were already a little hyped to begin with. They're already known, and then all of a sudden they hit 4 home runs in 2 days, and now their prices go to the moon. Or someone is going to make the majors that was not expected to. They had a big camp, and then boom, they're on the major league roster. That announcement comes. Everyone loses their mind for a couple of days. That's where you usually see the huge spikes in prices, and where you usually see the ability to exit out of something that you're in for either the largest return, whether that's profit, or maybe just to save your ass if you're deep into the red on a card. So 2 great examples of this that we have in very recent history, the Luka and the Fox. We're going to use the Silver Prism as our proxy here. I have pulled a year's worth of data. This is PSA 10 silvers for both these cards. Let's start with the Luka first. The Luka silver, for the better part of a year, has basically been right around anywhere from $900 to $1,200, give or take. If we go back to March of last year, you could see about $1,100. What do we got here? A little under $1,100. In the mid-summer, like right before the National, a little over $1,100. And then in season, it did get down below 1,000. You could have readily had this card for in the high 900s, even some sales all the way into the lower 900s because the Mavs started a little slow. He got banged up, whatever the case might be. But for a vast majority of this, so we have this whole window here over the last year, basically from February to about May. So you had a 3-month window there, and then from June until about November, you had a window where it was around that $1,100 price point, and then it actually went lower for a good couple of months. Now, there are 2 big spikes on this graph. This one, I'm not sure what caused this. I don't know if this is just an outlier sale or what, but we want to focus on this one and this one. Now, what happened here? Finals run. Luka had a deep run in the playoffs. Now, the Mavs were really good. I don't know how many people were expecting them to go all the way to the NBA Finals. He had some crazy plays, some big game-winning shots, and his prices went way up from that. This topped out at around $2,000. There are multiple days of sales around 1.9, 2, a little over 2, a little under 2, 1,800-ish. But you had essentially, let's see, right here on 5/27, it was about a $1,700 card. And then on 6/7, it was about a $1,700 card. So about 2 weeks, not even a full 2 weeks, that you had above the $1,800 price point or even $1,700 price point. Fast forward to today, in more recent times, we had the trade. He went to the Lakers on, let's see what's the date here, 1/27. This was a $1,000 card. He got traded to the Lakers. A couple of days later, it's a $1,700 card. That was on February 3rd. Fast forward to today, on the 18th, it's back to being a $1,300 card again. So it went from $1,100 to $1,700, almost $1,800, back down to $1,300 in the course of about 2 weeks, about 17, 18 days. And your window to sell at the actual peak prices was much more narrow than that. Here is on the 2nd, there are 15 sales at $1,700. On the 3rd, there are 4 sales at an average of $1,800, let's call it. On the 4th, 2 sales. On the 5th, 4 sales. And then by the time we get to the 6th, it's already back down to $1,500. One random little spike up there. And then by the 9th, it's already all the way back down to $1,400 and continuing to go down. So you basically had a, let's see, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, a 3-day window, maybe 48 to 72 hours. And in all reality, more like 48 hours. This one, you had a little bit of a longer runway because he was actively playing. Like, let's use the $1,600 line here. On 5/25, it was $1,600, and on 6/9, it was back down to $1,600. So what is that? Maybe, let's see, a little over 2 weeks. But you're dealing with live sports. You don't know what could happen. At any time, he could get hurt, or they could lose. They could get knocked out of the playoffs, and then this never happens. This is an unknown. You don't know this. You know it's going up because of what's going on, but you don't know when the music's going to stop. The point of this all is you have to be willing to act quickly when things like this happen. Now, on a playoff run, you have a little bit more, control is not the right word, a little bit more wiggle room where you could kind of read the room. Who are they playing? Who are they about to be playing? How's he playing? Are they up? Are they down? Are they likely to win next series or not? Like, obviously they weren't going to beat the Celtics. So if you were smart, you would be exiting out of his cards during the Western Conference Finals. That would be something where you would read the room. Maybe you have a little bit longer runway to play with. But still, you don't have a ton of time. Now, on something like a trade or let's just call it a one-off event, like someone hitting 3 or 4 home runs in a day, someone getting the call up to the big leagues, your margin for error is much more narrow. You have about 2 days, and sometimes even less than that. And here's the biggest mistake people make, in my opinion, myself included, and I just did this, and I'll use this as an example. You get cute. And let's say you had a Lucas Silver and you're into it for like $1,000. Let's just say you bought it somewhere in here. You bought it for $1,000 out the door. That was your total out the door. Maybe you paid cash, whatever the case might be. All right. He gets traded to the Lakers. You're like, great. I'm going to make a killing. Let's go. You see it immediately spike up to $1,500, $1,600, $1,700. You're like, we're going to the moon, baby. You throw that thing on eBay for $2,000 OBO. Your hope is someone bids it. If someone makes you a strong offer, you'll accept it, but the market is so hot right now. Things are going great. This is awesome. I'm going to cash out. All right, cool. Let's do it. You put it up for $2,000 OBO. It's up for 20 minutes because the market's losing its mind. You get an offer at $1,750. And you're like, $1,750? Please, do you see what's going on out there? They're partying in the streets. They're making custom Luka jerseys left and right. Nah, I'm gonna wait and see what happens. The market's super hot. I'll counter back at $1,925. If he doesn't want to do it, that's fine. No skin off my back. Everybody wants this card. You counter back at $1,925. Maybe they don't respond. Maybe they counter back and you reject it. Whatever the case might be. Maybe you have a couple of these even over the course of the first night that you post it. When a card's hot like this, a lot of times offers will flood in very quickly. And you're like, no, I'm getting my number. Next thing you know, you wake up and now they're comping for $1,600 a day later. And then you're like, uh-oh. You're at 2K, 15 people have undercut your price. There's bins now listed at $1,800, $1,850, $1,825, and you're $200 over a bin. So now your action's completely dropped off. You could have had it closed at $1,750, $1,800 the other day when you got the initial offer when you first listed it, but you wanted to get cute, you wanted to get greedy, and you wanted to get that high little dot on the chart and graph, and you're like, nah, I'm going to get my number, and then you don't. And then very quickly, the market turns on you. So you drop your card down. Okay, fine. All right, you know what? I messed up. I'm going to drop it down to 1,800 OBO. We'll see what happens. You get an offer for 1,600. You're like, 1,600? People just wanted this thing the other day. Are you crazy? I'm not 1,600. I'm not selling it for 1,600. You're nuts. You wait another day. Maybe you wait 6 hours. Now people are listing bins at 1,400, 1,500. Auctions are going off. Maybe bins are getting listed at 1,600. Auctions are going off at 1,400, 1,500. So you mess around for another couple of days. And before you know it, you're back down to $1,200 and $1,300. Now, you can't even sell it for $1,200. If you sell it for $1,200 on eBay, by the time you factor in the fees, you'd make a little money, but not much. So now your mentality is, well, I guess I'm just keeping it and see what happens. And you could have had a confirmed sale back here in, let's call it the 1,750 range. But you had to get cute. Only 1 or 2 people get to sell at the very top of this, and odds are it's not going to be you. The trick here is knowing the situation. In this situation, it was a one-off event that caused the spike. So when that happens, you have a very limited window to exit out of that card if you want to. If you don't want to sell the thing, don't sell the thing. But if you bought it to flip, if you bought a Lucas Silver to flip anywhere in here, you got a gift from the sports gods that he got traded to the Lakers. This was literally, you would have never expected this to happen. You should be listing that thing as fast as humanly possible and taking any strong offer that you get. Could have instantly made, even with eBay fees, a $600 profit on that card. Maybe $500, depending on what you actually sold it for. But you could have easily made a large chunk on that card. Just look back a couple of months earlier. He went all the way to the NBA Finals, and the card topped out at 2K. Now, if he made a finals run again, maybe you could argue it would go higher because of the Lakers factor and all that. Sure, but what are the chances of the Lakers actually making a finals run? You had your window to exit out of that card. You missed it because you got cute. Same thing with De'Aaron Fox. His stuff was pretty cheap off the rip. I mean, you could have bought this card anywhere from $100 to $150. Multiple sales. I think around 150 is about what these were going for. There's a few that are a little lower than that way back, a year ago or so, 125. But let's just call it 150. He gets traded to the Spurs. Oh my God, he's going to be Wemby's wingman. This thing got up to $300. You doubled your money. Close to it. Once again, eBay fees factoring in, but you're still going to make a really nice return on this card. You get cute. A couple of days later, it's back down to 250, 260, and now it's all the way back down to 220. And guess what? It's probably going to keep sliding down a little bit because the Spurs are not destined to make a deep playoff run this year. You missed your window. The other time you have these windows is when a product just releases. If you're ripping, that's the trick. You got to be ripping and you got to get lucky. If you're ripping and you hit a big card, you need to evaluate very quickly whether it's worth grading or not on big stuff, on smaller stuff, common stuff, things that there's going to be a lot of, things that maybe there's not as much hype on, players, characters, whatever the case might be. Sell it almost as fast as humanly possible. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I know this lesson, and even just a month ago, I made the same mistake. maybe not even a month ago. I ripped my box of WWE Chrome. I hit an insert of Cody Rhodes gold out of 50. I put it up for like a week at some dumb number, or a couple of days at some dumb number, just to see if someone bid on it or not. Nobody did. Me and another person had one listed. We kept undercutting each other on price. I let a couple of days go by, and I said, all right, I don't want to play this game because I know what's going to happen. More of this stuff is going to come. I listed on 99-cent auction. I said, let me get this thing out the door quick. I think I run it for 5 days. Before anyone bids, someone submits a direct offer to me for $50. I thought about it for a little bit. I countered at, I think, 80. I think I countered at 80. They countered back at 60. And I said, you know what? I'll risk it. I'll just let the auction run. Screw it. I'm not accepting 60. Now remember, this is an unknown mark. WWE Chrome, kind of unknown, new release. No one really knows how this stuff's going to work. But Cody Rhodes is a very popular character. It's a cool insert. It's a gold out of 50. If I let this thing run at auction, I'll at least hit close to $50, and maybe it goes, crazy. Maybe a couple people bid on it and it gets way higher. I'll run the risk on the auction. What do you think the auction ended at? I'll give you 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds. I'll give you a few seconds to guess in the comments down below what you think that auction ended at. I had an offer for 50. I countered at 80. They countered at 60, and I declined. The auction ended for $10. $10. And luckily, this was a lower valued card. We're talking about 10, 20, $50. Not nothing, but very nice reminder to myself to not get cute on this stuff. If you get a strong offer, you're almost best to accept it outright and not get cute in back and forths. Imagine having a Luka listed for $2K. You get an offer for $1,800. And you get cute and counter back at 19. You don't hear anything. A day goes by. And next thing you know, they're already starting to slide down. Missed your window. Happens that fast. That's the lesson of today. As always, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. We will catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.